Play with your. I hope you said kittens. Okay. All right. Sorry, guys. I screwed up and hit the wrong damn button, but we're back and we're still shooting the shit and whatnot. So,
Neil,
I totally fucked up and hit the wrong button.
Neil.
Oh, whoops! That was
buttons
me.
Aren't toys.
Ow! Ow!
Buttons aren't toys, dude.
I know. Well, true.
But they are made to push.
So hopefully the folks will come back. But even if they don't, we can still hang out and have a good time. So.
Yeah. They don't come back, well then fuck them.
With what? Because I don't like to touch people.
Oh, well, there's that.
Rebar. Rebar.
There are plastics.
How easy are they to take off without contamination?
Well, you just have to wear gloves, don't you?
Ew.
What do you mean, ew? If it keeps you safe, wear the gloves.
Right.
Well, some people don't take off their gloves properly, and they end up exposing themselves.
I know.
Anybody wearing gloves in a situation where it's not like controlled, it doesn't make sense. Like if you watch nurses in the ER, they walk into the ER, they put on the room, they put on gloves, they treat the patient, they take the gloves off before they leave the room, and they sanitize their hands. So like,
thanks, Tria.
If you're walking all over whatever with gloves on, you're kind of defeating the fucking purpose.
Yeah. It's like working on cars.
But the germs don't touch my hands.
What's going on here? I don't know what I missed.
I got a squiggly little baby.
I'll tell you what, man. Working at Lowe's in bumfuck fucking Florida, I have heard so many goddamn COVID conspiracy theories.
It's all 5G
every fucking
towers.
day. I can't say anything back. No, it's not like that. These people are not that smart. No, it's
so it's not 5G towers with them?
It's everywhere, man.
No, they're literally like, they'll say, this is a goddamn UN conspiracy to take over the nation. It's just a matter of fucking time before the tanks are in the street and they're taking your guns away, and all of a sudden you can't fuck your goddamn cousin anymore. And what the fuck we're going to do then?
They're already in stage one, though, with the police. They've already got
do you want to hear the conspiracies here?
What is that? Yes.
I'm too
So
amused.
some of the conspiracies that have arrived here in Texas, even these are even espoused by my father, who is very, very conservative. Which one is that wearing masks is just for your compliance, so that way they can round you up in these camps, just like they did in Auschwitz. They're trying to take this also somehow incorporates taking away your guns. I don't fucking know how, but COVID is trying to take away your guns as well, I guess. And then on top of that, you just have people who sit there and say, of course, the normal fucking shit like, it's an election year. Look at the timing. Then you have the people who aren't as nuts who will sit there and say, I believe COVID is a real issue and that it needs to be addressed. But I just believe that a lot of these numbers are inflated.
So just a quick question about what you said.
I will tell you what I'm going to tell you about that. I'm going to tell you right now. Right, the COVID is just some bullshit that was fucking implemented by the goddamn Democrats to stop us from fucking loving Trump as the emperor of the fucking nation who needs to be the president for 5 terms. And there ain't no fucking reason why we need to be wearing no goddamn masks or doing none of that pussy shit like that. We need
Wear
to be
a fucking mask,
getting
people.
out there, shooting fucking guns off in the air, and goddamn it, fucking Trump.
I've literally heard. I've
Keep
literally
America
heard.
great, goddammit.
I've literally
question
heard
for
people
Rose.
sit there and say, "Oh, go ahead."
Why did they say rounding people up like Auschwitz? Why didn't they say like in America with the Japanese people during World War II, or on the southern
I feel like
border
a character
today?
from a video game.
Because
rounding up
because
Mexican
they are
people?
Well,
because they are trying to do the
They don't-
biggest appeal to emotion, and their biggest appeal to emotion is Auschwitz, because every American can recognize
And
that
guns.
thing was bad.
And guns.
No, you also have to understand.
And guns.
Hold on a second.
And
What
guns.
they did, yes, and guns. Now, what they did was illegal in the sense that they went in with private contractors to remove the people, but the argument stands that there was vandalization. There were people vandalizing. There were people creating ruckus. That was the excuse. Okay, so
Yeah, because the Night of Broken Glass was actually done by the Nazis.
exactly.
Kristallnacht.
Now I'm not defending. I'm not. Please, I'm not. I'm Antifa. I say burn that whole fucking shit down. But what I'm trying to say here is that the reason that they're going through the courts with a stupid fucking argument, such as, oh, let's compare it to so and so, is because they are using that tactic as in, well, we had a legal right to do this, and blah blah blah.
The thing is, just Kristallnacht was actually out of hatred for a particular group of people. What BLM was doing wasn't a hatred against people; it was against the system that oppressed them.
Whoa.
I know.
When did we start
So
talking
it's a
about
false
BLM? I
analogy.
thought we were talking about COVID.
It's
Well,
all
that's
part of
because
the
it
same
took your
thing,
guns
the
away.
fear mongering.
We're actually talking about titties, but we're doing it in a very specific way. We're using code.
I just want to say,
these are the secrets of the
I
universe.
just want to say that for a second there, for a second there, Neil had a mask and his headphones on, and he looked
Yeah.
like Dead Mouse.
I thought it was Mickey Mouse.
The fucking that guy.
I swear I thought it was Mickey Mouse ears.
Yeah, when I do this, yeah.
Yeah,
That's what I'm saying.
there you go.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah, no, it's crazy. You hear? I'm in the city. I'm in the actual city, and you hear the same rhetoric, and you hear it from all sorts of people that this is a conspiracy, that this is all out population control, and they're out to kill us, and it's fake.
I just think it's really strange that
And chemtrails.
Chemtrails.
y'all hear the most interesting things though about this. All I hear when these people talk is, my mother dropped me on my head, and now I believe in crazy shit.
Yeah.
Let me explain to you why I'm so fucking clever, even though I have a dent in my forehead.
Yeah.
Well, one of the biggest ones around here is that this is all a conspiracy. That have you actually known someone who's died from COVID?
Right.
It's like, do I have to personally know people who are dying to know that people are dying?
Here's another one.
The problem is I do.
Well, no.
They don't.
I've actually had that. I've had that posed to me. I've had people say, "Do you know anybody that's died from COVID?" And I'm like, "I work in a hospital." Yes.
Here's the argument I hear.
Yes.
But you don't know
This is
that.
how much they don't recognize the reality. I'm sitting in a dentist's office, and there's a lady, and I'm Hispanic, so we're talking in Spanish, and she's talking about how this is just all conspiracy and science is bad. And I stopped her. I'm like, man, you're sitting in a dentist's office, and her whole world she stopped everything she was saying. She shut up and just like swallowed it. They don't recognize what they're doing because of their beliefs. Getting back to what I said earlier, it's a problem. Yeah, they don't recognize what like that they're relying on the science that is helping them out, and at the same time they're just saying, hey, look, this is they're out to kill us with science. It's really quite incredible.
You raise an interesting point there, because
buddy,
yes,
I'm going to say
they don't want. Sorry, go on,
I like
Duke.
the blue. I like the blue ones. Sorry.
No, I'm sorry. I didn't mean to interrupt anybody. I was just going to say that's the kind of thing that we battle against every day.
Yeah.
People that take advantage of science and then deny science.
Yes.
That's something
Well,
we
this is
do
that
all
actually
the
plays
fucking
into what I
time.
was going to say. The one when it comes to science, when you have so many young Earth creationists, and you've got one in the administration, at least one in the
Yes.
administration now, so they don't want to admit particular aspects of science, which so obviously disproves their underlying beliefs. Because when you're looking at creating a vaccine for things like COVID, you've got
I
to
know, Harry.
accept evolution as being true to begin with. If you don't, you can't move forward with it.
Yeah.
If they
Just the other
accept
day, I
a
had a guy that I
DNA
worked
test
with
for fraternity,
go
they're
on the.
insane.
Clockwork, message me on Twitter and I'll send you one.
I
Go
I
on,
had,
babe.
I had a
I'm
guy
not going to be going for
just the other
too much
day that I
longer,
work
just so you
with
guys know.
who's a smart guy. He's not a dummy, but he was just like he went down the whole road of evolution is just a theory, and it was like,
I love
yeah,
people like that.
it's a theory. It's a scientific theory. He's like, it's not a fact. I was like, no, it's a fact.
Yeah.
As well as we know, because like, and it was one of those
Evolution
things where
is
it's
a
like,
fact.
I so rarely, it's a
Evolution
fucking
is a
fact,
fact.
dude.
Evolution
And
is
he
a
was like,
fact.
no, it's not.
Be amazed how many people
He was
don't believe that. It's amazing.
But it's the evolution by natural selection, which is a theory.
Yeah, but
It's hilarious.
this
though,
guy
'cause,
was like, he's like, I know, I studied evolution in college, and it was like, no, you didn't. You
Well,
didn't
shit,
pay
Clockwork, how the hell am I
attention
supposed
then,
to get
because
you a
like,
link?
there's mountains of evidence. Like,
Yeah.
you're supposed to fucking magically get it to her. Like, listen, wave your fucking magic wand over your Prius, send it on a magic journey to find her.
Yeah.
Discord.
It's
Okay, message me on Discord
hard
then.
fight. It's going to be a really, really hard fight. It's really re-educating everybody. That's what it's going to have to take. You're going to really have to like break the whole shit down and start over.
Well, at this rate, everyone's going to fucking die because they're just like, I don't believe in science. Just wear the mask and wash your
Well,
hands.
yeah.
It's a conspiracy to make me wash myself.
There was literally a guy on Twitter who what happened was he first kept saying about how much COVID is a hoax.
Mhm.
He then started saying that he was showing symptoms of COVID. He then went and got a test for COVID. He then went in was in the hospital with his wife with COVID.
Mm.
She was in intensive care at the time.
Good.
While he's making these posts and videos and putting them on Twitter, he made a video talking about how he, was he thought it was a hoax, and now he understands that this is a serious pandemic. And then the very next thing you see from him is an obituary for him.
Yeah.
Right.
And it's like,
right. I think one of the main problems with it is that in some cases people don't show any symptoms at all, and in other cases people die. And so it's not like a black and white situation.
But there's a problem with the ones that don't.
It's not like a black and white situation where if you catch COVID, right? There is. I'm not saying there's not. I'm just saying in terms of how the public sees it. Like there's so many. Like one of my security guards talked to me, and he was like, "This COVID shit is no fucking joke." He's like, "I got it. I had no problem. My wife got it, and she was out of commission for 4 weeks." He's like, "There's no fucking telling." Like, and that's the truth. Like, I don't even think we know exactly what's going on with it at this point. Like, you could get it and be fine, baby. Or you could get it and be fucking dead. Like, it's fucking
on
crazy.
The light side of it all.
And I think that's what makes that's more dangerous.
On the lighter but scary side of it
all. Go ahead,
Plastic.
I'm sorry.
Yes, sir.
Pence did a tweet Donald Trump retweeted it. I think it was KC just said, "Shh, sit down. The adults are talking." And just these witty one-liners that Trump's just setting himself up for almost makes the non-death part of it worth it.
I don't know. Did anybody else find it funny whenever Trump kept going on about the post office and this, the post office that, and how there's going to be fraudulent voters? Then out of nowhere, you see a tweet from him saying, "Save the post office."
Mm-hmm.
I tried not to pay attention to him.
They arrested Steve Bannon.
That makes me so happy.
Thanks to the post office.
Yeah.
No wonder he's got a fucking add-on for destroying it now.
Yep.
The post office arrested
It'll come
Steve
out.
Bannon.
Look,
That is awesome.
yeah, I have this. I don't know. So the majority never voted for the idiot. I hope the majority, there's a bigger majority this time. But I've seen things happen where there's this hope that we're not that fucked up.
Yeah.
And I think we can get them out. I think we could just get them the fuck out. Yeah, we gotta.
Well,
we gotta put the pressure on. Yeah.
The thing is I've been saying this whole entire. I hope we're not this fucked up ever since Trump was in office. Like the very minute he got into office, I'm like, okay, you know what? No, let's hope that he does good. He keeps fucking up, and I'm like, please tell me we're not this fucked up. And then he does something even more fucked up, and I'm like, oh no.
So what I was saying, we have to stay united and fight towards putting pressure on them, because things will not change. So this is the only thing that's going to happen. What he does is insane. What surprises me is the people who enable him. That's the danger, and that's what we have to re-educate and we have to go towards, because he's a waste of fucking oxygen. Like he's a showman. That's all he is. He's a fucking distraction. From day one, he's been nothing but a fucking distraction. And meanwhile, they're ripping apart the courts. They're ripping apart, the certain provisions that are going to take care of the lands for our kids to grow up in. These are the things that need to be paid attention to while he's up there screaming about ripping shit out of the post office. Because you know what? We have the power. We get out, we go fucking vote, and that's it. No matter how many fucking boxes he takes out. It's illegal for him to put any sheriffs at any polling places. Fuck you. We own this shit, not you.
Yeah, we pay for it.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I see a Duke, but it's not allowing me to add you because your devices are not connected.
So it goes beyond. It goes beyond getting him out. It has to now start. A dialogue has to start being put out where we have to say, okay, hey, we have a goal. We have to stick together this goal, and if we don't, fuck.
I hate to say this, but I don't think there's much is going to change if Biden gets in. But I think it would be very helpful if people would put pressure on the international community.
Yes.
We should be writing. We should have been writing to the UN from the very beginning, going, "Help us."
But
the UK don't give a fuck. Unfortunately, Dominic Cummings, the guy that's in charge,
I said UN.
he just says it's not our problem. I know, but the larger world, governments, the UK has got a loud voice. It may not have much power, but it's got a loud voice. And you've got people like Dominic Cummings that just don't give a fuck. Right. At the height of the BLM protests, he was actually criticising BLM. So when you've got people like that with voices in the UN, it's just fucking ridiculous. I think Angela Merkel said something, but when you've got one country isolated and all the rest are saying no,
so you have to
difficult.
Understand the conservative value at hand. The conservative value at hand, as much as I disagree with it, has to do with wait, everybody stop, calm down, please. Everybody, please calm down. Let's try to get along. Look, this is bad, and this is why it's bad. And if you can please understand that, then maybe we can come to a compromise. Fuck you. We've had it. We've had enough. And there's a reason why we're protesting the way we're protesting, and you're just not fucking listening.
Mm-hmm.
That's the problem.
Yeah, so I've had
there was
many
something I had
discussions.
seen recently. There was something I'd seen recently on Facebook that I had shared that was saying there's a picture of a banner that was hanging down from a bridge, and it said that they've taken more from us than we could ever loot.
Yeah, one of the biggest things that I've gotten into arguments with people about over all of this is like, people are like, protesting is fine, but people are rioting, and that's terrible. And I sat there and said, what started the protests? And they said, well, police brutality. And I said, how did the police respond to the protests?
Police brutality.
With police brutality. And then I said, what happens if you respond to people crying out about police brutality with more police brutality? And they get silent, and then I sit there and finally say, people break fucking shit.
Right.
Like you can only expect people to remain civil for as long as they are being heard.
Yes.
If you want civility, hear people. If you want people to start rioting and start looting and start breaking fucking shit, then ignore them. But do not get pissed off whenever they start doing it, because this is the biggest thing. It's like you want to ignore them. That's fine. That is an okay response. But people are going to end up breaking your shit.
Yep.
If you don't want them to break your shit, listen to them.
Thing is, I've had that discussion before, and I stumped them even before that. I asked them how it all started, and they said a black man broke the law, and other black people didn't like that. He was arrested for it. I says, what law did he break?
What?
And they weren't able to give me an answer because he was suspected, but
right.
he'd not actually done anything. He just got arrested because he was a black man.
They called the cops on him for using a counterfeit. But again, no.
Mm-hmm.
No.
You've got to prove intent.
I have a friend who got caught with quite a lot of counterfeits. And he basically fucking walked. He was white.
The thing is, how can they arrest someone for using a counterfeit unknowingly? Not knowing that you have a counterfeit isn't a criminal offense.
You're in possession of a counterfeit. What is it called? There's a name for it, but if you're in possession of it, that alone is a felony in the United States.
It's a felony.
Yeah.
Really?
Yes.
Yeah. So the thing is like no one. It wasn't the fact like we're all pretty much aware of the fact that.
Yes, Maya. I know. That's what they said.
Yeah. Right. Yeah. That he broke the law. Like if he broke the law and got arrested, fine. No big deal.
Yep.
No one's going to complain.
Correct.
It's the fact that he broke the law and the response was, let me put my knee after you're already on the ground, hands behind your back and cuffed, in between a curb and a fucking police vehicle. Let me place my knee on your neck. And then while you're saying I can't breathe, that you continue to stay on there. That is the fucking issue. When you go, when you take
readjust.
Let me give you a story. Hey, check this out.
Hold on. That's the murder itself. It's a street execution, and it's been going on.
Yes.
People are being judged and executed on the street, and they are not getting a trial by their peers.
Yeah,
that's
Black
another
people
thing.
Pay taxes. They have rights, and they are being denied their rights every time a police officer decides to execute one of them on the street. Why are we charging these poor people taxes if we're not going to give them their rights?
Yeah, that's another thing that actually really gets me. There was a gentleman, I forget his name, and I'm sorry to say, in a Wendy's car park.
Yes.
He took
They've killed so many.
Yeah, but he took a non-lethal taser off a police officer.
There was no
so
need.
They automatically go to lethal force.
Right.
And that's far too extreme, surely, for a non-lethal weapon.
Well, this is the issue, though. Is like
guys.
The thing is, like, what?
He's just been trying to say something for like.
Oh, I'm
2 people
sorry.
now.
Go
it's
ahead.
okay.
Go ahead.
Honestly,
Say something.
For this, yeah. Don't feel there's too many of us. We're gonna do it. It's cool. Damn it! I lost my train.
I'm so sorry. I made you lose your train of thought.
And then
The cops went.
Also, welcome to the stream, Clockwork Rex.
Yep.
By the way,
So the cops went from volunteering for a service to calling it a job. Oh, I'm doing my job. I was like, look, man, you're providing a service. I pay for your fucking service, and it was lost. That fundamental value of the police has been lost, and there's where the problem starts. There's where the re-education of the policing has to begin. That's the crux. That's where it starts when it comes to police brutality.
One of the biggest things that we have is like, so we even have people, innocent black men mainly, who have done nothing wrong and have cooperated and still end up being dead.
Yeah.
This is one of the biggest issues. Like the most biggest well-known one is like they made a movie about it, the Fruitvale Station, where a black man and his friends were being rowdy. The cops sat there and came over and stopped them, asked them where they're going and all that stuff. And what they actually did was they sat there and he said he was getting his friends to chill out, to sit there and be like, look, guys, just listen to the orders, do what we need to do so we can go home. And the cop still ends up shooting him for it.
Yeah. I've seen stuff like that in real life, like right in front of my face. I've seen cops execute somebody. Like it's crazy.
I have too. Even here in Canada, this shit happens.
Yeah, everywhere. You see news from Australia. You see it everywhere. It happens all over the world.
There's
It's
no
not
point
quite
in
to
them.
the
They
same.
need to go away.
It's not quite to the same degree, but there was a video a couple of months ago from the UK where an officer pulled over a black guy in an affluent area, and then he got an emergency call and says, look, I've only stopped you because you're a black guy in a posh area.
Mm-hmm.
Watch yourself, and then drove off. I'm paraphrasing, but that's essentially what he said to them.
The message he tried to relay, I guess, yeah.
I mean, it wasn't literally them words, but it were very, very, very close to it. It was because they were black that had been pulled.
Yeah.
They were driving some sort of Merc or something.
I understand that fully. Coming from a town where back in the day, it used to be a sundown town, if you understand that reference.
Where's Yorkshire?
Yes. A sundown town is pretty much a town where black people were not welcomed after sundown.
Okay.
As a matter of fact, entering into one of the towns I grew up in, it said, welcome to Santa Fe. N-word, don't let the sun set on your black ass.
Wow.
Like, we'll point out, no matter which way you came into Santa Fe, it said that. And that was even as far back as the 70s, 80s.
Wow. Yeah, no. It's always been there. I feel so stupid. Like I feel blind that I didn't see how bad it was.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Whenever I lived in Alabama and Georgia area, there's still a plant that it's an old plant, so it still has one of the water fountains that above it that says colors. And of course it's not used that way now, but it's still a momentum of our past, where in the South, it's just part of the history. It's like
that's always bothered me about Americans. Why is it even why is it anything? Growing up, I was such a fucking fan of Dukes of Hazzard. I had the little car. It was my favorite car. The colors,
Me too.
Everything.
Me too.
And then you grow up and you're like, what?
We didn't know then, though, right? So.
Well,
like growing up, we don't really pay attention much that close attention to these things. And then when we get older, we're like, oh my god, that's a racist symbol.
Why wasn't it? But that's my point. Why has the educational system dropped that? Why isn't it part of us understanding that just from the get? Okay, look,
because America likes to whitewash.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
That's why I'm a fucking anarchist, man. Burn it all down.
Yep.
Yeah.
I mean, hell, Hell, I mean, here in Texas, Texas is the biggest known places for whitewashing. As a matter of fact, Arn Raw had to go up to the state capitol to fight for them to not make part of history the Trail of Tears being a kind of voluntary situation where they were trying to make it to where it was a kind of mutual thing that the Indians were to move over to Oklahoma and things like that.
Wow.
And this was something that they were trying to put in the textbooks. Not only that, but they were trying to sit there and kind of downgrade, not necessarily completely get rid of, but downgrade slavery. They've tried to do a lot of things, and that's why I'm glad there's people in this capital that are there to sit there and say, no, this is not how history works. You can't just sit there and diminish or get rid of the parts that you don't like.
Yeah.
I'm going to be good and not make a comment about that.
Oh, go ahead, because anything
No.
you've said about it is something that I've already said openly to everybody.
Yeah.
I love living in Texas, but I fucking hate it at the same time.
No, that's not what I mean. I'll tell you after.
Okay.
Listen, guys, I don't have a lot of time left.
Okay.
So
Yeah.
I do want. I thought it was titties with D's. Anyways.
Oh, titties. D titties.
There you go. D titties. Titties. D size. I want to let Clockwork get some words in here because we kind of always tend to
Titties.
Yeah.
to hold the like everyone's talking all at once. But Clockwork wanted to come in and speak, I guess. So now's your chance, man. Before I kill the stream.
Well, I just wanted to come in and say hi, and thanks for the
Well,
invite.
Absolutely.
And this has been an interesting conversation. But, you know, everybody has their own perspective on what goes on.
Sure.
Like, Neil has his, Doc has his, Bible has his, Atheist has his, and shit happens. Life happens.
Yeah. What is this sort of pertaining to, though?
Well, just everything. Like,
Oh, this is just a general statement.
pretty much.
Yeah. Sure.
I think because we all have our own life experiences, we're all different.
Of course.
Yeah, we all see things differently. I mean, you see things one way, and I see things one way, and fucked up shit happens.
Yeah, you say that, but there is an objective point to some of it. It's like we can objectively say that this course of action will cause more harm to this kind of person.
You like that one?
So
Yeah.
there is an objectivity to some of our experiences.
Oh, who just left?
Duke.
Oh.
Okay.
Oh, Duke left?
Yeah.
He's
Here's what
dropping
we
in and out.
consider, though, it's not just, oh, well, it's a shame that, you know, X, Y, and Z end up murdered all the time by police. What we need to do is we need to go over what the police do and how to change their role in society. Because right now, they're just, you know,
Good job. They're
doing harm to people that they have sworn to serve and protect. But yet, around here, if I call the police, they say, "Oh, do you have any evidence of whatever? Like someone slashes my tires." It's my
tires are
job.
slashed. How's that for evidence?
It's my job to figure out who slashed my tires and prove it, and then call the police.
Correct.
Yeah. Camden,
That's
New Jersey actually
ridiculous.
Camden, New Jersey actually saw that there was a systemic issue with the police force, and what they did was they defunded it and they sat there and dismantled it and built it back up.
And now, whenever all this stuff started popping off, there was actually reporters that went to Camden, New Jersey, to ask the black residents there how they felt about the police force there. And when they interviewed them, they said, "We actually feel safe. Like we actually feel like they're here to serve and protect us and help us out. And we have no issues with our police force." And it was one of those things where what they were trying to do was to show that rebuilding your police force the way to where it actually helps everybody can possibly work all across the board. Now, is what Camden, New Jersey did, is that going to work everywhere?
No.
Possibly not. But it will sit there and give some kind of thing to where you can try and then adjust to where it works in the area that you live in.
This is the thing, you can use that as a scaffolding to as a net
Exactly.
to work from. It's your basic plan, and then you adjust it to what will suit you. If that works for 50% of the police forces in America, that's 50% better than it was, and you've just got to then start thinking of new things for what didn't, and you'll learn something as well.
Yeah.
But also what needs to be done is, I do believe police forces in America are overfunded by at least 50%. Take 50% of the funding off them and actually put it into social services and things like that to actually build up.
Some of the shit they go through here in America in particular, I can't speak for anywhere else. It's some serious shit, so I don't mind so much of the funding. They should redirect the funding to a better training system so that they can perform better.
Well, this is
not
the
only
thing,
that,
that's what
but-
I'd be advocating for. I'd be advocating for better training of police. I'd be advocating for more social workers that can actually take on the jobs that the police are currently doing that lead to so many deaths. Like, for example, sending a police officer out to someone with autism, as an example.
That's the whole point. That's where the education of the police officer and the psychology aspect comes into play, because most of the time they're the first ones on the scene. But
you're sending an armed person into a conflict zone where there's no need for them to be there.
The majority of the time, the call coming in, hey, in order to get the police to get there fast, the person making the call is going to say that the person acting up is armed, whether they're armed or not. And the police come in first because that's the first call. So they come in arms out, guns out, because they're expecting somebody who's armed, whether they're armed or not. Because when the call was made, they said, oh, they have a knife, they have a gun, I'm in danger. The police are the first on the scene. So the education starts with them. Hey, guys, don't pull your fucking gun out until you know that they don't have a gun.
I'd go a step further back. I'd go with it.
Time out. Somebody assaulted me in my hallway last year. Okay, I had him on the ground. That somebody called the police. They said that I was armed, and they ran up the hallway with their guns pointed at my head. I had nothing. I was in my underwear defending myself. They had me in cuffs.
But this is a problem. It's not so much in your instance, but if you educate the people that are doing the call in the first place to know that there are social services that can be there just as quick, then you've eliminated the need for guns completely.
But they're not the response.
Well, let Faye get her word in. Let's let Faye get her word in.
Because I got to bring this to a close, guys. So let's wrap this up.
Okay,
As
really
important
quick.
as this is,
Really quick, when it is a mentally ill person, whether they are suicidal, armed or not, they send the police. And what they do is they will handcuff them. And last week, they came for my neighbor because she had been over-medicated by her doctor. She wasn't suicidal, but she was pissing blood. Okay? So what did they do? They handcuffed her. Because she has a mental health diagnosis. It doesn't matter if you have a mental health diagnosis, they handcuff you, they treat you like a fucking criminal. Right. And no violence was reported, nothing. She was dying. She was dying and they handcuffed her. That is irresponsible, and yes, they should send a social worker, and no, they shouldn't always handcuff the mentally ill, but they do it whether or not this person is suicidal, a danger to themselves or others, or what.
Right.
It was the medication that was killing her, and they treated her like a fucking criminal, and that drives me nuts.
Yeah. And that's why I say educate them on how to handle a situation and not come in there because
I agree,
they're
but
they're
I
not-
just wanted to say.
So here's a great compromise, because since a lot of times cops do end up being on the person's scene, what can happen is that they can sit there and, without drawing weapons, sit there and try to calm down the person while also calling for social workers to come over and help.
Well, I half agree with you, but the problem is when somebody, especially if they're in a state where they're not thinking straight for whatever reason, seeing someone of authority like a police officer can actually inflame the situation.
Agreed.
Yeah, and
Now,
if you sit there,
if you had unarmed police officers that were there solely for that purpose of attending these emergencies, then yes, I would be more likely to agree.
Well,
But having an armed person there, I don't know.
This will set your anus on fire. It was the social worker who called the police to take out a half comatose person who's pissing blood out in handcuffs.
Why didn't they ring an ambulance if it were a social worker?
Because there's a mental health diagnosis,
Yes.
and that's how they take the mentally ill in the United States to the hospital.
They give them medication on the spot. Here, take some Xanax. Calm
No.
down. Or worse.
No,
Or worse.
The police are able to do that?
no. The police, what they do is, in America, a lot of places, what happens is the police come to the thing, they take the person themselves to wherever, instead of actually getting professionals such as an ambulance or an actual social worker that has a specialized vehicle that they can put them in. It's always police first.
Yo, I've been in cells and bookings with like what are you doing here? Like you could tell they're just not, they don't belong in a cell. You could tell they're not on medication, that they're sick, that something's wrong. They don't give a fuck. You are nothing. The reason they arrest you is because the longer you're behind bars, they can count their overtime and they get paid while they sit on their fucking ass. That is how it works. They're allowed 3 days. So as long as they grab you, they got 3 days off because you're sitting your ass in a cell. Who gives a fuck what you did? And then you go through bookings, you go through a judge, and you walk with nothing on your record. And they'll do it again when they see you again. Oh, there he is. Go chase him down, beat the shit out of him, cuff him, and throw him in jail for nothing.
Well, it's not for nothing. It's for their own profit.
For their own benefit, right? For their own benefit.
Because everything revolves around money nowadays.
Yeah.
So this is a systemic issue that covers a lot of different aspects, including racism, including just being shitty cops in general. Like, which is why whenever people sit there and, shout out how all cops are bad cops, I don't necessarily mind, because whenever, you do get good cops, but then a lot of good cops, either they quit because what's going on is bullshit. And they, I've sat there and seen several cops that sit there and says, I joined the police force because I wanted to make a difference in this world. And with the way that I've seen the system work on the inside, I'm disgusted and I quit. And then you have the other good cops that are supposedly good cops. But what they end up doing is they go to help somebody, get ushered off. They get ushered off by their partners or their other fellow people, and they end up just getting pushed away, and then they continue going instead of helping that person. So
good night, Neil.
And that's why I said before is any of the good cops that are still left, the handful of them that are still left, are just getting silenced and taken out by all the pigs. Because that's all the rest of the police force is. It's just a pack of bloodthirsty pigs.
Yeah.
Actually, rather than typing all this shit out here, Clockwork mentioned that his uncle was a state trooper, and I know that there are many, many decent cops out there. I happen to know one. The guy I was going to donate a kidney to was a good cop. All right, so I
But that's
understand that.
not the
But
problem.
you're right.
family
That's not the
cops.
problem. It's the bad ones that are making problems. The
Look,
corrupt ones.
Well, you're
that are-
half
This
right,
came from
Neil.
one of my uncles who ended up to be a sergeant. It's basically this: are you willing to risk it all by turning in your partner, or are you going to stand by him and be a stand-up guy? Now, if he does
Yep.
something extremely awful, then you
All
really
kinds
got
of
to
shit
decide
like
what
that.
you're going to do. But that's basically what it all comes down to: a loyalty. Because I have family members that are cops. I have friends that are cops.
Yep.
Does the word go out that some, not all are bad? Yes, but it's the whole system that's fucked up and not holding them accountable.
I
Yeah.
agree. There needs to be
Well,
better
this is
vetting
another
system
thing.
before they hire
For the
people.
good cops would be the core of any new police force that's built based on the model that were discussed earlier. It's not a case of you get rid of all cops. There are some good, some bad, and you've got that lump in the middle,
Yeah.
which hide all the bad stuff of the bad cops from the good cops. So that's what you got to look at. It's the good ones that you want to be the nucleus of a new police force.
But um, Neil,
Go ahead,
I'm
Faye.
sorry.
I'm not
Just
denying.
one
I'm not
last
denying.
comment from me. Just one last comment from me, and I swear, Neil, I won't say anymore. But here's the
You can
thing.
say whatever you need to, Faye.
Here's the thing. The good cops are in danger because of the bad cops.
Yep,
Like
agree.
we have zero accountability for most of them. If it's somebody's word against a cop, most of the time they're going to believe the police officer, whether they're another
Not
cop
that
or
way here,
not. Well,
fortunately.
the thing is,
In Canada, I mean.
it's like the police officer in Oklahoma that went to jail for 263 years for a 2-year rape spree, where he even raped a woman in a hospital bed.
Wow.
He had her handcuffed to the goddamn thing and made her suck him off. I mean, come on. Like, there's all kinds of corruption. And the thing is, it's like most of my family are civil servants, whether they are police officers, firemen, or like my mother who worked for the homicide department. I mean, I know a lot of the thing, but the thing is, it's like when you have people like this who are doing street executions, who are raping women, who are raping men, who are executing like college co-eds and things like that, what happens is you put everybody in danger. You put people who don't want to call the police in danger because there's no faith there. You're putting good cops in danger because they don't know who to trust, and you've got an angry population. That's why this has to be dismantled and rebuilt, and there has to be like a national training. Right now, every police what do you call it, like thing in the United States has their own agenda, their own training, their own like, and if you've got a corrupt leader, you've got a corrupt system. And the thing is, that's the problem. It's not the good guy behind the wheel who's trying to help people. It's the bad guys that we have to like root out and expose and do something about them.
Yes.
And like, there's one thing I want to say to end up for the end of my conversation is that a lot of people that I've talked to, they're like, "Oh, you're just so young. You don't really understand what's going on. You don't have any life experience." And I'm like, "Yeah, I don't. I'm only 19. I don't have very much life experience compared to y'all." The thing is I can still see what's going on around the world. I'm not blind, and I'm not denying that the fact that there are. I'm not denying the existence of good cops. There are still good cops out there. I've dealt with them. I've experienced very good cops. The problem is the fact that the majority of them are corrupt. They are bad. They are killing people. They're bloodthirsty. And they're silencing the handful of good cops that are left. And what we need is a inflation of good cops. We need an inflation of good cops, and all the rest of, and they're just getting silenced.
The good cops are asking for the body cameras so that they have evidence they didn't screw up.
Yeah.
The good cops are the ones who are also asking for reforms. They're the ones who,
Mhm.
like the ones that had to end up executing a mentally ill man in his shower
Mhm.
because the tasers wouldn't work because they weren't trained on the distance they needed to keep in order to knock him down.
Right.
And just bursting into people's homes whilst they're asleep and just shooting randomly. It
It's
happens.
a bad
And
idea.
Look, I
no
as
knock
a
warrants and all the rest of it. But
my interaction with the police was often, okay, and they would do stuff like this. There was one time it was my friend was painting. We were all looking out for him, and a paddy wagon rolls up, and he takes off running because they're always trying to fuck with us. He runs down the block. They chase after him in the paddy wagon. They corner him off. About 8 cops jump out, and they beat him to near death. And why, he like we ran up like we had to catch up, and when we get there, we hear him say, "Why are you hitting me? Why are you beating me?" And after they had enough, they were like, "Oh, we thought you had a gun." Like, motherfucker, you just saw me painting. Like you just saw me. You having that much of 8 of you
What's up,
fucking
Mikey?
have that bad of a bad day that you had to almost kill him. He ended up in
I
the house.
had
Okay, guys.
Yeah.
I know you guys could go on for fucking hours about this.
Yeah.
I have to get out of here. I understand
ahead.
it's an important
All right,
topic.
thank you,
You'll
Neil.
have
I
to
get
do
that.
it again. You will just have to do it again.
Yeah, we're just gonna have to do it again.
well, I mean, we
will
could
be-
always keep talking after he
You
leaves.
can always keep talking when I take off. That's fine.
Mhm.
My next show will be with Alexis, who's also known as @transatheist on Twitter, and that's Monday at 4 p.m. And then I have a blood donation day coming up on Wednesday, and then it'll be Jesus Mike from the Atheist Roundtable that'll be on.
Tart.
On Tart. Yeah, that'll be on Saturday next week. So be sure to
His
tune
name
in
is
for that.
Jesus Mike.
Yep.
Okay.
And then David Oliverio, who's the preaching
Monday.
humanist, will be on Monday the
31st.
the 31st of August. Yeah, and you'll know him from the ACA shows. But anyways, sorry that we had to break up the other show and then start a new one. But unfortunately, I hit the wrong damn button because I was using this at the time, and it's I'm dumb. That's pretty much what it is. But anyways, guys, until next time, thanks for hanging out with us. These guys are probably going to carry on their conversation for a little while. I will. I'll just say this: enjoy the rest of your evening. This isn't one of my usual shows, so I don't need to close it with some sassy saying or anything like that. But yeah, guys, take care, be safe, be well, and above all, be kind. All right, because we'll get through this one day.
Yeah.
See you guys later.
Y'all.
Titties.
Jim,